Hi, it's August from Oneness, Freedom to be Happy and Healthy, Wealthy and Healed movement. And you are listening to a training series on the Awakened Imagination Challenge. And welcome to today's exciting session. Today we're going to talk about the stages you'll go through during your journey of learning how to use your imagination by design. Welcome to lesson 11. But before we start, repeat after me. I'm curious to see how my natural state of love and abundance will reveal itself for me to experience starting right now. So, there are two things you want to be investing in if you want to master manifesting: your attention and your energy. Don't waste them, invest them. One of the things we noticed quite some time ago is that we can take the stages of death and dying that were developed by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and we can use them to really mark out where you waste versus invest both your attention and your energy. In today's lesson, we'll focus on the first stage of death and dying. And once you let go of some of this stuff, again, you're going to notice you have a lot more attention and energy to invest in manifesting. So, the first thing is the first phase. The lesson is based on denial. There are three major ways that a state of denial can block your blessings. 1. You haven't denied the limitations of your senses. So, in other words, you are insisting things aren't changing because you don't see it, can't hear it, and can't touch it yet. Number 2. You can still deny you are one with God. You can deny you are one with God because you have a bad history, or you believe God is something that is way, way out there and much better than you. And the third thing, denial that you have been creating your own circumstances all along. In other words, you can blame your parents, politicians, trauma. That's all fun. That's all good. But it doesn't produce the great results you want in your life. You can't say, I created the good things, but I have not created the bad things. You have created everything in your life, the good and the bad. Acknowledging this will allow you to say, if I have created this, then I have the power to create the opposite. According to Joel 3 verse 10, let the weak say I'm strong. So, let's dive in. We want to eliminate this whole bit around denial, because denial is essentially death. The first thing I want you to do today is notice how limited your senses are. We've talked about this before, but we are going to give you a powerful tool to use today. In other words, I hold in mind that I walk from the state of the wishful thought that something has happened in my life, that I am a specific way in my life, and yet my senses deny that. Remember, your senses are limited. Your eyes are only a few centimeters apart. Your ears are only a few centimeters apart. And from fingertip to fingertip, you are much less than 1.8 centimeters. And yet, there is this massive universe that responds to your imagination. We have the capacity to assert that nothing has happened because I don't see it, I don't hear it, and can't touch it yet. Now, what I want you to do is notice, instead of saying things haven't changed yet, using the jet lag principle. Say, I haven't noticed that things have changed yet because my eyes are only a few centimeters apart. My ears are only a few centimeters apart. I can only hear a limited distance. I can only touch what is right next to me. Right? So notice how limited your senses are. Feel free to use this phrase. Yeah, I haven't noticed anything yet, but that doesn't mean things haven't changed. Because you can't touch it, see it, or taste it, we assert that things haven't changed. In other words, I can't see it yet doesn't mean that things haven't changed. It just means I can't see it yet. Next, abandon your concept of God. Abandon your concept of you. Stop denying you are one with God. You are the cutting edge of God. You are God having the adventure of a lifetime. In other words, if God is going to expand beyond his or her currentness, the only way to do that is for him to have an experience, and that experience is you. So end your concepts of God, abandon the concepts of you. You were taught that you and God were separate. You aren't your history. And God isn't what you think. When you notice you have a concept of God and a concept of you that keeps you separate, you are imagining. You are adding meaning to that. This takes us back to last week's training. And the third, accept what you've created crap. Again, the third way of denying is to deny that you've been creating your own circumstances all along. In other words, accept that you have created crap. That doesn't mean you are bad. It doesn't mean you are crappy. It just means that you've created crap. In other words, fertilizer. Accept that you've been creating your own circumstances all along. It's been your attitude. If you choose to get paid $1 an hour, that's what you are going to get paid. But you know what? If you decide, I am lucky, I can manifest the most amazing things. If you live from that state, you will be that state. I've manifested all sorts of amazing stuff. I'm still amazed at what I'm learning. I'm still amazed at my capacities. A big part of that comes from realizing that you can create a life where you get paid $1 an hour, or where you get paid $10 an hour, or you can wake up and say, you know, I deserve 100 or 1,000 bucks an hour, and suddenly you find yourself creating solid gold. That enables you to get paid that much. Again, it's not just with money. This applies to everything. Create something with the fertilizer you've previously created. You know, I've got all sorts of stories. One of the things I do is create wonderful things out of my crap, out of my fertilizer. Remember, you're still human. Don't think, oh, if I'm enlightened, I shouldn't have these cravings or whatever. Oh, well, guess what? Realizing you are one with God doesn't mean you stop craving spicy food or you stop enjoying some of the finer pleasures in life. In other words, notice how these three all work together. That's all I'm going to say. Dive in. Use that jet lag statement. I haven't seen it yet. Go to this phase where you realize you aren't separate from God. You are not. Stop denying your oneness with God and you'll notice amazing things happen. Notice how you create that. Notice how people create their separateness from oneness and power. Like using a vision board. Yeah, there is power in vision boards. Well, have fun with that if you want. You are just creating more crap. Again, if you've done that, which I have, and probably all of you have, you can stop that. You can revise and walk away from that. And you can start again and start creating wonderful stuff from your experience. Okay, that's it for now. Talk to you again tomorrow, and remember to have a huge amount of fun.